Okay, so this video, I'm just gonna cover how to weave in the ends of a project. So before you're done your project, you are going to have these little tiny bits of yarn. These are like your tail ends, and if you just cut it off, then it is just going to fall back through very easily, especially like this is a washcloth, so it's used a lot. You don't want it falling apart. So weaving in your ends is just kind of the last part of your project, and it's going to leave you having these really nice clean edges where you don't see any of that excess string. And so that's what I'm going to cover in this video. I have this little tiny kit of yarn needles. You can get one really just at any craft store. Actually, I think I got this one on Amazon. And inside of it, it has all these different size yarn needles. So this part here in specific is what changes. So you'll see there's very small ones and large ones. So that's obviously for bigger yarn and a smaller yarn. So pick whichever one you'd find appropriate for your project. This is just one way to weave in your ends while you're doing, let's say, changing colors. See, I changed colors here. I actually like wove my ends in, weaved them in, whatever. I put them in while I was working. I can do another video covering that, but this is just like your end pieces that stick off at the end. So for me, just these ones here, I'm actually just going to give them a snip now because I already wove them in. I'm not getting confused, so cut those off. And over here, I actually did it too, so we'll just snip that, and then we'll just have a look, make sure that there's only that one left. So I finished and did a slip stitch as my final stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull the yarn and take my hook. I'm going to put it through that last stitch. I'm going to hook over the yarn and just pull it through to the opposite side. So that's going to be the first part of weaving it in. So that kind of like gives you that finishing edge there. So now that it's on the wrong side of my work, just going to take your yarn. I fold it in half when I'm doing this because when you insert the yarn, if you do it this way, I'll just show you here, the ends kind of start to fray, and sometimes you don't get them all through, or you get one kind of like that. So anyways, a trick, put it this way here, and then when you insert it, you have a less of a chance of actually fraying the edges, and then you can just pull it through to the end. So you're only going to leave about, I'm going to say like this much on that side of it. And then it is just how it sounds. You're just going to weave it through some of the old stitches that you made. So I'm not going to try to do it in these colors because I want it to kind of blend. I used a lot of different colors here. So I'm just going to go through this same color green. So I went through a couple stitches there, and I'll just pull it through, and I'll do that for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 stitches. And then just to reassure myself that it isn't going to go anywhere, I'll actually turn my needle around and I'll just hook back through a couple times the other direction. Maybe even go in up here like this. And it's woven, it's done. Once that's done, you just snip, and you have your finished project. You're not seeing those tail yarns sticking out anymore. So that's how most projects, now I want to say that's how like every project's done. You're going to have to weave in ends at some point. You can leave it to the very end like I do, and then you have this big assortment of things that need to be woven in, and you just do the worst job, or you can do it as you're finishing each project. But that is how it's done.